There's a new system that's going to come online, a financial one. In a time of crisis, it will be called the answer, talking about a total collapse of the economy. They're going to let it suffer for a while. Could be a few months, maybe a year. People will be scared, desperate. Grid lines, gas lines, collapsing, dollar, cash will go away. Currencies will go away. Trading assets, gone. Crypto, gone. They'll flip basically overnight. That's checkmate. No way out.
So, I was recently exposed to this Oculum Labs Gideon whistleblower information about the coming restructured financial system in the Common Sovereign Restricted Quarantine software for CSRQ-SM. Videos on the subject matter was dropped off into my Telegram. I browsed the website a little bit to see what the claims of the white hat hacker insiders are. Just cutting to the chase, I'll tell you that I really don't believe that the provided information from these alleged secret social credit score accounts are legitimate. There are just certain features that stretch the credulity for me. Let's go to the section in this conversation between Bill and Gideon. But Trump and DeSantis had no account activity, no inflows. They weren't putting anything in. Maybe they don't know. Gideon: it's hard to say. They are among the few who didn't have any inflows. And what they mean is, so here's an example of Gavin Newsom's account, allegedly. He's identified as a sovereign. He has an account balance that appears to have over $400 million. The statement is that Gavin is aware of the account and has increased his account balance by transferring his USD notes to USDR notes at a special conversion rate that ultimately gives him more USDR notes. So I'm just coming out and telling you that I think that this website and whoever is behind this is essentially functioning as a Psyop. Certain American conservative hero patriots are emphasized as examples. This is done in order to create the buzz surrounding the said accounts, creating the are they really on our side? A question dynamic for those who are considering this information seriously. A great tactic for virality. An individual like Gavin Newsom, who is panned universally by conservatives, is added in to try to create a objectivity to this type of presentation. A few examples of the other classes are given, those classes that aren't the celebrities. Here's a quarantine example. The name is censored out, the biometric ID is censored out because this person is to be protected and not made collateral in exposure of the truth. But in my view, this is that already pre-planned gamification theory for whoever has put together the Psyop. Okay, let's create these designations. We'll give the restricteds, the R's, we'll give them $500, we'll give the quarantines $250, we'll give the commoners $1,000, then we'll give the sovereigns ridiculously large quantities of money. We'll put in a V plus 5 to represent the Verona Cirrus poke plus 5. You need to get 5 pokes in total, the 2 originals and 3 boosters. That way it looks like it's like a type of punishment for the commoners and the restricteds and quarantines. The basic principle I use in determining believability of a given set of claims is basic scalability with expectation. That is, the taller the claim, the taller the mountain of verifying evidence and sufficient background to make the scenario plausible. First tall belief surrounds who is Gideon. He has a background in an intelligence field. He has multiple connections between our group and the IT professionals with access to the CSRQ-SM software. He has requested his exact professional background not be disclosed. You cannot reach Gideon directly, but you can communicate through this website's Telegram announcements channel and receive secondhand information. So the special software exists. This website is publicly announcing that the white hat hackers can actively edit entries in the software to change a person's status, and we are to assume that the IT professionals who secretly under contract operate this new social credit system would not be apprised of the existence of their information being leaked out into the public domain, and so fail to take necessary steps to close the system down so entries can't be changed. Can I have my class changed to sovereign? We are awaiting word from Gideon whether there will be a plan to do this or not. Here at the very end, they make some claim about an individual named Phil Godolewski. Why add this extremely emotionally charged content to an FAQ section of a website that's already a bit of a tall order to believe? I don't know. Something said today, July 24th, 2022, on this website. There's only going to be 8 million sovereigns, so a ton of rich and powerful people will be left out in the cold. Gideon, their assets will be seized and they will become common class. Bill, they're not expecting riots from these people. No, it's not in their nature to do that. There will be a lot of grumbling, discontent, fights with the wife and their mansions they lost, but not much will come of it. There will be a lot of suicides, a lot of them. And so I wonder, how does Bill take this answer from Gideon that the wealthy oligarchs who weren't in enough to be included in the 8 million and get their assets stripped will not suddenly start rioting? How does he know that? He doesn't. It's not in their nature to do that. It's not a good answer. And so after you have the reset, will hackers be able to mess with it? And he's talking about this new financial system. Gideon responds, not anymore. Then they can mess with the DoD, NSA, or CIA firewall top secret systems now. Again, how do you know? Bill, for many who are poor, this will probably be a boost for them. Gideon, it is, but they have to get vaccinated, which wipes out any benefit for the poor. Okay, and just to show you some of the examples, so there's Glenn Beck given with his ID shown, Benjamin Shapiro given with his ID shown, Dennis Prager given with his ID shown, Tucker Carlson given with his ID shown. Bill, wow, I like them. Not anymore. These are big names. Look at Tucker's account. 500 million? Am I reading that right? Gideon, yes, but it's going to be a lot more. They're going to end up with 5 times that by the time this is over. And so the comparison we're being asked to believe as the readers and viewers is that 99.9% of the world, and I use that percentage because remember, this is 8 million out of 8 billion. That's 3 zeros. They're going to have 1,000 or less in their accounts each month, whereas people on Tucker's level will have 500 million and 5 times that. So it's like maybe 2.5 billion. Is that really believable? If the vast majority of the population is on such a low level, the wealthy class, they're only going to need a fraction of the wealth that they have because of deflation. I'm willing to entertain these universes of potential realities, but everything has to be internally consistent for me to buy it. Using theory of mind, what I would expect if this was totally on board and truthful would be web links to Mega Upload or some other online cloud document repository that would have hundreds of screenshots of web pages. So not necessarily just these individuals where work would have to be done to censor out certain pieces of information, but just the other pages that shows how the credit score works. That key documentation, and so that way the set of documents will look internally consistent, like it was something that was prepared over time and not just potentially done in a picture editor with screen captures from a computer screen by a phone to make it look like a 2-factor authentication hack of a computer system. I appreciated the provision of this example of Bolsonaro, as it shows an example of someone who people like, who's put in the lowest class of restricted, well, actually the second lowest class. But it looks like they violate their own rule of not showing the biometric ID of the innocent people, assuming this person's innocent, and Tucker Carlson is not because he's a sovereign. They mentioned not being able to find Vladimir Putin in the system, saying that he has a different name, and they found that Elon Musk was considered a sovereign. When you link through to a website that's called orderofmen.wixsite.com, We Are Sovereign, you have links to information from Drops by Gideon. Here's a link for hidden sovereign accounts, but when you click through to it, it essentially takes you to a page from the Oculum Labs website that shows you just those few screenshots, which is not really substantial information. Another feature that I would expect if this was on board and true is that the camera would be panned out and it will show whatever is on the screen in the surrounding area. And so you'll be able to see how information is displayed in context for a given web page of this program, assuming it was drawn from a database. For the Ben Shapiro entry, you see this 22 there. We know this is not really representative of an adjacent account because for the carbon score, you would have some 3-digit number and you don't really have that there. So this is some other information that may reflect a truly existing financial system or potential elements from the editing software. For Prager's entry, you see the same 2 at the bottom. I did link a screen capture of the Frank Jacob interview showing Paul Watson's account to his Twitter account. I've not yet received a response from him, though would not be surprised if he had seen the entry. So in conclusion, I think there is an agenda to control the economic activity of the people. A central bank digital currency could be one means of doing so. A system such as this, where people of certain social profiles are already pre-screened to be sovereigns, could theoretically exist, but I believe true whistleblowers would have enough theory of mind to know that the proof of their claims would need to be literally irrefutable. And while limited in their case to information they can glean from their systems, I would expect the exposure of much background info concerning the computing system, proof that the system is international, and maybe even some video of green transitions, page changes, showing that information was indeed accessed on a remote computer. Without that evidence, this becomes another Psyop to attract those who would be interested in such a topic. Maybe the purpose is benevolent, with intention to raise public awareness of the reset agenda early, before it gets implemented fully. Or maybe we'll find some quick buck financial schemes, who knows. But before I absolutely conclude, I should tell you Jordan Peterson is also listed as a sovereign, as well as James, but not James O'Keefe, and a quarantined David Wilcock too. But then in a July 19th update, Gideon and his men that walked around Jericho, just kidding, state that Wilcock's status was changed to sovereign. There is also a screenshot that shows a crypto page and a conversion factor for certain types of crypto. I can't find it at the moment, but I do consider it to be at least extra effort if it is unreal and fabricated. If I'm convinced of the legitimacy of this information over time, I'll likely do another video as showing why I feel the evidence is very strong for it. There's a lot to worry about already in this world. And it is stated on one of these web pages that there's really nothing that it could be done to stop this. So if I see something about this story that just absolutely blows me away, I will indeed let you know. Anyhow, catch you next